This is WKYT News at 6:30 on the CW Lexington.
Good evening, I'm Sam Dick on this first day of November that feels like anything but November. More on the warm weather and the changes ahead with our Chief Meteorologist, Chris Bailey. All right, trending right now, police in West Virginia warning Halloween trick-or-treaters to check their candy after a parent found a needle in her child's candy bar. She discovered it in a mini Snickers bar. That story is the most clicked on right now on WKYT.com, followed by grief counselors helping Adair County students deal with the loss of 3 of their classmates, and why coyotes are here to stay in Kentucky. Here's what we're following right now at 6:30. Old Richmond Road is back open following a deadly crash this morning. Police say a pickup truck and a tractor, collided when the driver of the truck tried to pass traffic on the 2-lane road. A person in that pickup died at the scene. WKYT's Victor Puente has more on what happened coming up and the other driver's condition. The Franklin County Sheriff says the woman arrested after a Lexington standoff is also behind a gas station robbery. Find out how police connected the 2 crimes coming up as well.
The cameras there themselves have kind of lend a little bit of security as far as the buildings, and if you know you're being monitored, I think you'd have second thoughts about trying to do something or steal something.
The city of Lexington may get an extra set of eyes in its parks. We talked with Councilmember Fred Brown to break down the news about his proposal to help reduce crime in our parks. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey joins us now, and can we say this is one for the record books?
Yes, you can. Today, 83 in Lexington, Sam. That is ties for the warmest high temperature we've ever had for the month of November. How about that?
We've had snow.
Yeah. Oh,
in
without
October.
question. Yeah.
Much less 83 on the first day in November.
Yeah. 80 on November 17th, 1958. November 17th, the latest we've ever been 80. Woo. Don't expect that this go around, but today's stuff is impressive enough. And what would you expect on a gorgeous, almost summer-like day out there? But a summer-like ending with a gorgeous sunset. Take a look at this. Those are ice crystal clouds putting to bed the first day of November that featured temperatures way above normal. A lot of all-time monthly records falling across the Ohio Valley, the Deep South, the Mississippi Valley as well. And tomorrow we could be back up flirting with record highs again before we do change it up a little bit. Early evening temperatures dropping into the mid and upper 70s. And if you're out and about this evening, that drop will eventually take us into the upper 60s by the time we roll into the second half of the evening, with temperatures that at 11 o'clock tonight will be above what a normal high temperature is for this time of year across much of central and eastern Kentucky. So this has been a heck of a warm stretch for late summer and now through the entire fall so far. Way above normal, one of the warmest falls you are ever going to see across Kentucky. High clouds across especially the northern parts of the area. If you're looking for a little change now, I know a lot of radio stations cranking up some Christmas tunes already starting today. You may want to get something to get you in that holiday and that Christmas spirit. How about a cold front to the west? At least it'll knock us closer to normal, Sam, by the time we roll into Friday and the coming weekend. And when I come back here in about 10 minutes from now, we will track this front and time it in to where you live.
It is a common scene on country roads, but today it turned deadly. Police say a truck tried to pass a slow-moving tractor when it clipped the tractor, lost control, and then hit a fence. It happened just before noon on Old Richmond Road. That's US 25 near Evans Mill Road. A person in the pickup died. A passenger and the tractor driver were taken to the hospital. That road was closed in that area for hours. WKYT's Victor Puente has our top story at 6:30.
Both of those vehicles have been loaded onto wreckers and hauled away. This road reopened about 45 minutes ago. The crash happened a little before noon on Old Richmond Road near Evans Mill. Police say a man driving a tractor was heading away from Lexington with a truck driving behind him with their caution lights on. They believe a man driving in this pickup came upon the tractor and tried to go around him.
Early on, it looks like maybe the truck was attempting to pass and then came back into the lane, coming in contact with the tractor, and then lost control from that, and then veered off the roadway, and there is a fence up there that he came in contact with.
Police say that crash sent the truck rolling, killing the passenger and sending the driver to the hospital. The driver of the tractor was also taken to the hospital to be checked out. They say he's expected to be okay. The road was closed for more than 5 hours while accident reconstruction took place. Police say it's possible speed was also a factor.
There's a lot of debris on the road from the collision itself that we're still working through. Quite a debris field, which means that the collision probably carried on for a little ways after it started.
In addition to speed, police say this area is also a no passing zone, and that may have played a part. In Lexington, Victor Puente, WKYT.
The names of the 3 men involved so far have not been released. A man accused of killing 3 people in a Danville pawn shop was back in court today. Attorneys for Kenneth Keith are asking for a hearing to prevent some of the evidence in that case from being allowed in court. Keith allegedly murdered Michael and Angela Hawkinsmith and Daniel Smith in September of 2013. The prosecution says it's ready for the trial.
From a standpoint of forensic evidence, case preparation, we're ready for the case to be set for trial.
Earlier this year, Keith's attorneys asked for the trial to be moved out of Boyle County, but the judge refused that request. If he's convicted, Keith could face the death penalty. Lexington police say a woman arrested after a standoff last week may be responsible for another crime. Police say they stopped Robin Holbert on Versailles Road because the car she was driving was reported stolen. But now they believe she also robbed a gas station. WKYT's Sean Moody has more on how police were able to connect those crimes.
When investigators first started working this case, they weren't sure whether that robbery suspect was a man or a woman. Shortly after the story first aired, they started getting tips that it was a woman from Lawrenceburg, and they say evidence Lexington police recovered after a standoff confirmed that.
This is the surveillance video the sheriff's office released after that robbery last Sunday night. You can see that robber pull out a gun. The sheriff said the person's skin was covered with some kind of white substance, maybe powder or paint. The robber takes cash from the clerk's drawer and gets away.
I think what stood out was the way she moved, her actions, her mannerisms.
Franklin County Sheriff Pat Melton said his office started getting tips pretty quickly.
You know, it was a challenge, obviously, the disguise. But, you know, we had several tips come in that identified her on our Facebook page and on our text or tip line. I mean, several.
2 days after the robbery, Lexington police arrested Robin Holbert after a standoff. They said they had pulled her over because the car she was in was reported stolen. They said she ran from that car with a gun, and that's what started the standoff that lasted for hours. Today, Sheriff Melton said Holbert is the woman who robbed the gas station.
Our detectives did a great job on this, and she did admit to the robbery that it was her. And the evidence that Lexington has is consistent with what she had during this robbery and what we've got on video.
Holbert is still listed as an inmate at the Fayette County Detention Center. In Frankfort, Sean Moody, WKYT.
And today, a Franklin County grand jury indicted Holbert on charges of robbery and possession of a handgun by a convicted felon. A report of a suspicious person leads to a large cocaine raid for Georgetown police. Police are telling us that officers were called to the Deluxe Inn overnight for a report of a man breaking into a room. When officers searched the man, they say they found 40 grams of cocaine and more than $2,000 in cash. Dozens of Lexington business, church, and government leaders will be spending the next day out on the streets. About 40 of them are taking part in what's being called the 24-hour homeless challenge. It began at 5 this afternoon, and through 5 tomorrow afternoon, they'll stay on the streets of Lexington with just this: a blanket, 2 sandwiches, and 2 bottles of water. And those taking part say they have an important message.
It's to bring awareness to the plight of those who are in this position, and we hope, maybe beyond awareness, to raise a few dollars from people who make donations.
Fayette County Schools is partnering with this event as part of the Give Kids a Home program. If you'd like to make a donation, we have information on our website, WKYT.com. I'm sure you noticed gas prices in Lexington have been dropping the last week or so, and at some stations along Winchester Road, we saw a gallon of unleaded going for under $2 today. And it's not clear if a gas pipeline explosion in Alabama yesterday will have an effect on those prices here in Kentucky. Colonial Pipeline shut down its pipeline after the explosion and said it will likely be closed the rest of the week. An Urban County Council member says he's come up with a way to improve security in Lexington City parks. Find out what that is. That story's in less than 3 minutes on WKYT News at 6:30 here on the CW Lexington. And a top running back is leaving the Tennessee Volunteers program. Dave Buzz Baker joins me later in sports to talk about why that happened and if his decision is a good or bad thing for the Vols. Welcome back live to WKYT News here at 6:30 on the CW Lexington. This would have been a great day to be at the park. If you spend time in Lexington City Park, make sure to smile because you may be on camera soon. Councilmember Fred Brown presenting a proposal to the General Government and Social Services Committee today to add cameras to help with park security. Berry Hill Park would be the location for the trial run of these security cameras. Brown says he believes the cameras will deter crime. Well, the question remains just how much. To help us break down the news, we talked to Councilman Brown at length about why he chose Berry Hill Park and what impact he sees the program having on the city of Lexington.
We do have cameras in all of our parks pretty much, but if they've got a facility there at the parks or a particular building or something like that, we are monitoring those. And we do have security there, but we don't have security out in the outlying area around the tennis courts or the skating area or the basketball courts. There's several cities, and we did a benchmark and looked at some comparable cities have got security in their parks already. So we did some background on that as to what kind of security system they have and how we may go about it. So in essence, what we're doing is probably a pilot program, and we have selected Berry Hill Park because of the new skating arena out there. And it's a large park, and it would make a good pilot project for us to look at that. When we're talking about a pilot program, we're basically talking about putting it in a park for a length of time, because we're going to be investing probably about $30,000 in equipment. So if we do it there, it'll be in there a while to give us some type of data and some information that we can rely on, because I'm hoping that we've got some other parks that we need to focus on too. And especially look at the criminal activity around it. We're not monitoring, these cameras are not monitored, but they're security cameras that can tape and take information down, and we're hoping to get some high-tech security cameras that will give us some information and be very visible. The council will have to decide if they want to fund it, and I think the administration's already on board with trying to have a pilot. I was interested in maybe doing more than one, but I felt like that if I could get a pilot program going, then we could get some information back off of that. I know it'll be a deterrent, but how much, that's hard to measure. You just cannot measure how successful something is other than you look and say, well, we haven't had any occurrences.
Fred Brown with a good idea by many people's standards. You can join the conversation by leaving your comments on WKYT.com or on our Facebook page. Let us know what you think. I've jumped over here to join Chris Bailey. And Chris, you grew up in McGoffin County.
Yeah.
Used to seeing the forests and the woods and so forth. You know, the threat this time of year with forest fires is out there. Now, I was a Boy Scout, and we were taught when you've got a campfire, you got to get deep down on those embers, and you got to put that thing out. And what's happening right now, just in the last weekend, the Daniel Boone National Forest, they put out 14 abandoned campfires in the Red River Gorge alone. That's one of the biggest reasons why this is a dangerous time of year. Now, I didn't know this. This is interesting. The leaves are not as packed down in the fall because they've just fallen, if you think about it.
Fresh.
And so if they catch fire, it can spread pretty easily. And as you have been telling us for months now, this has been a dry time of year.
It has been. This is traditionally a dry time of year, Sam. But we turned the faucet off Labor Day weekend after an incredibly wet summer. So we've got a lot of extra overgrowth that has now died out in the woodlands, and that's kind of adding a little extra fuel to any potential fires that are out there. Right now, it's a fiery sunset that we are tracking on our live sky cam. We've got gorgeous conditions, and we hit a record high today in Lexington. We tied this, and it's 83 degrees. That is, by the way, the warmest we've ever been for not only the first day of November, but November in general. So we share this date now with 1987. We share that temperature with 1987, which, by the way, was also a very bad forest fire season, as I recall, across the mountains of eastern Kentucky. Now, tomorrow's record high is also from 1987. 82 degrees is the record. We're going to be within a degree or two of that again tomorrow afternoon. So 1987 starting out with low 80s for the first 2 days of November, and by November 10th, it was snowing. November 17th, 1958, the latest we've ever been with an 80-degree temperature in Lexington. And after tomorrow, there isn't another 80 until that 17th day. We go to your Defender Radar Network. Dry skies across Kentucky. Not that that's a shock. That's been your fall, folks. Warm high pressure across most of the Plain States, eastern part of the country. Cold front, though, that is off to our west. Promises change toward the end of the week. And as we go into the day tomorrow, again, it's a toasty one with upper 70s to low 80s, depending on exactly where you are. 3-day forecast near records tomorrow, gusty winds Thursday. You'll get a gusty raindrop or two. Is this going to be anything that just really helps us out in the rain department? Nope, not that kind of a setup. And temperatures into the afternoon are going to drop off fairly quickly as well. And look what comes in behind this. Dare I say we're going to be normal for a little bit Friday and into the start of the weekend? That appears to be the case as of right now. So a typical early November brand of chill will replace the record-setting thermometers that we have across the Bluegrass State today and potentially again tomorrow. That hour-by-hour forecast with a little more cloud cover tomorrow afternoon may hold us down a degree or so. Into Thursday, hey, it's scattered stuff that's out there. It's nothing that's going to be widespread, nothing that's going to be all day at all, and that will usher in a little chill down. 56 degrees for a high temperature on Friday. Can you imagine how cold that's going to feel, Sam, after low 80s today? I mean, 56 in early November, typically that's nothing. Low and mid 60s this weekend for highs, lows. That'll be in the 30s. And don't forget, we fall back Saturday night, gain a little sleep.
But great tailgating weather Saturday afternoon, right?
Low 60s out at Commonwealth Stadium for tailgating. Kickoff thermometer, upper 40s to around low 50s. And then we'll drop it to about 45 by the fourth quarter.
Are you ready for it?
I am ready. I think Buzz is ready for it. He's growling over there.
Can you hear him over there? Yeah, we're going to get to him in just a second. Speaking of football, Tennessee losing a top running back, and my goodness, what has happened to the Georgia backs? Dave Baker joins me next with the Sports Buzz. Time now for the Sports Buzz. Each night, we'll talk to Dave Buzz Baker for an inside look at what's going on. All right. I graduated from the University of Georgia.
Yes, you did. Proud graduate.
I'm a proud graduate, but I'm a big Kentucky football fan. But
proud fan.
At Georgia, everything is dated this way. Pre-Herschel, Herschel, and post-Herschel.
That's
Take
right.
a lot of pride in their running backs, who they've sent many to the NFL. What in the world is going on with this team and these backs?
This should be a battle between the two best backfields in all of the SEC, maybe in all of college football. But something has happened with the Georgia backs. I mean, you've got Nick Chubb and Sonny Michel. Okay, so here in the second quarter, they've got a lead against Florida.
Yeah.
And you know what? There was like the 12:25 mark of the second quarter until the start of the fourth quarter. That was the gap that took place before Nick Chubb saw the ball. Now, he's still recovering from that knee injury that cost him most of the year last year. But the big problem is the Georgia offensive line. They're getting no push. And because of that, they've gone to the air. That'll be an advantage for the Cats if that happens Saturday, because Eason, the freshman, it's a very similar situation. The way these the Kentucky offense and the Georgia offense has struggled, it's going to be a really interesting matchup on Saturday night.
And what about Tennessee? Now, they had a guy up there, or down there, that's supposed to be the next coming of who knows.
Oh, and he's really good.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurd was going to break Travis Henry's all-time rushing record at Tennessee.
What happened to him?
He announced yesterday that he's leaving it. Now, you had Jones come in, okay, as the coach. And Butch, that's it. I was thinking, what Jones? Butch said he was going to give him the ball, and he didn't give him the ball, okay? So he missed one game with an undisclosed injury, and then he rushed for 16 yards on 8 carries in the first half here against South Carolina on Saturday night and didn't play the second half. Hurd is a 5-star recruit out of Beach Senior High in Hendersonville. He's the 3rd player to leave the program this season. I mean, this guy had put up some eye-popping numbers. I mean, preseason Doak Walker Award, ran for a UT sophomore record, 1288, was the MVP of the Outback Bowl. He leaves in 6th place in the Tennessee record books. It shows you it's tough to live up to expectations.
So Kentucky's defense does not have to worry about him.
No, absolutely not. And they could still be in turmoil when they get together next week. All right, let's talk. What is Big Cuz? You know, everybody talks about him, being out of control and everything. So what's he done to get himself in shape and get his mind right?
Well,
this is like the Chris Bailey regime. Hot yoga.
Really?
Hot yoga for Big Cuz. I mean, he goes to a place called Vegas Hot. Which, if you heard that, you'd probably not think it was a hot yoga place.
Yeah, I'm not going there.
not a hot yoga place. But he's lost about 20 pounds. It's helped his flexibility. He had tendonitis in his ankles. He doesn't have it anymore. And so Big Cuz has found his inner peace at Vegas Hot.
Good for him.
I'm for it.
He's a different kind of guy, and he's doing something different there.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. All right, thanks, Buzz. Head tonight. Let's check on the CW
Yes.
Lexington. Let's run that down. Our Family Feud's next. Then at 8, The Flash, followed by No Tomorrow at 9. Over on WKYT, the NCIS at 8, Bull at 9, NCIS New Orleans at 10, followed by WKYT News at 11. Well, that sounds pretty neat. It's the first of its kind here in Lexington. We're going to take you right up there. A popular downtown bar opening up the rooftop to customers. That's right. Today, the Lexington Mayor, Jim Gray, and owners of Bell's Cocktail House celebrating the opening of the city's first rooftop bar. The area is big enough, we're told, for 100 people. The Cocktail House has been open for 3 years, but owners say building a rooftop bar is something they've had in the works since day one. Bell's Cocktail House will open up its rooftop to guests on Friday, the night before the Georgia-Kentucky game, Chris Bailey. People are getting primed and ready.
It's supposed to be the coldest night of the week.
It'll be chilly, yeah, exactly right. We're going to see a little seasonal brand of cold coming in later Friday and into the weekend. Actually starts late Thursday. You'll wake up to temperatures Thursday morning, warmer than what you come back home from work and school with. A little shower chance in there, but boy, that forecast is still awfully nice.
1987.
87.
WrestleMania 3. Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. Pontiac Silverdome.
Remember it well, huh?
My first year here.
1987.
He still has it on VHS.
Yeah.
Pops it in every night.
Those things are great. They're really good, especially if you get the peanut butter off of them.
That's Buzz, that's Chris, and I'm Sam. We appreciate you watching the CW Lexington at 6:30. See you tomorrow night.